One feature has continued to evade Star Citizen for years now. A game-changing feature, one that would transform the gameplay of every player in the game, and completely change Star Citizen as we know it. This could be arguably the most impactful change in 2025. And while it shows up across multitudes of games, its unique application in Star Citizen has drawn the eyes of many throughout the industry. Elevators. Elevators, doors, and trains, these crucial aspects of the game, are shrouded in mystery and question. Is my elevator actually moving? Is anything on the other side of that door before it opens? Where the f*** is this train going? These are the questions that keep us and CIG up at night. They've plagued game sessions and driven players mad. Why are they so dangerous? Why haven't they been fixed? And can CIG polish up the most draining feature in the game right now? Thank you for coming to my Tomato Talk. April Fools. While this video is of course a bit of a joke, the problem we have is very much not. The state of the game is largely damaged by the transit system. Doors, trains, and elevators. They all run on the same system. So much was said back in 2018 during Around the Verse as Chris Roberts described the dynamic elevator system.
So now here we see a test case for the new elevator management tech, which will help us integrate more dynamic elevators into the game. The tech still needs a lot of finesse and development before you'll see it in the PU, but eventually it will also be applied to trams, trains, and other public transportation.
This system was designed throughout 2017 and 2018, back before server meshing in Star Citizen was anything more than a concept, back when the main goal was to add anything to the live environment just to keep players engaged. This was the bare minimum for the environment at the time, and it very clearly struggled even before server meshing. The goal was always to try and physicalize any travel when it was possible. Former game director Todd Pappy explains this much when asked how elevators will work in the long run back in 2019.
Basically, if it can be done in a realistic way, Chris wants it done in a realistic way so that there's a sense of travel. Let's say you have a super long space station and you get into an elevator here and then we warp you to, a section here, and then you see basically it's an establishing shot of, oh, okay, that's the landing pad that I just landed on, and then you get to the end of that, it warps you to another section, and then it's opened up again, and you see outside. So you get a sense of travel, and then there's some cases that we can't do physically. It really depends on how it's built, but I mean, for the most part, if it can be built physically, Chris wants it done that way. You can see that with the trains in Lorville, and it's the same thing with ArcCorp. There's that sense of time, that sense of progression that happens when you're going through a level.
So there's not necessarily a reason that elevators and space stations need to be physically flying around. And there's likely a good amount of simplification to the system that the team could do that would help remedy a lot of the issues we see from elevators. Now, not everybody deals with elevator problems. If you do for more than 2 hours at a time, you should call your doctor. But this is the kind of issue that hits almost any part of the game. Bunkers, spaceships, cities, distribution centers, space stations, contested zones, anywhere there is an elevator, train, or door deals with this complicated physicalized system. In many situations, it likely doesn't need to. Mainly, though, elevators. So, how is 2025 going to be the greatest year of all mankind when Star Citizen finally figures out how to transport players from point A to point B without killing all their friends? The transit refactor, of course. This refactor first started popping up around the beginning of 2022 in monthly reports, being referred to as a necessity for server meshing. In fact, a big part of this refactor was happening because, and I quote, transit carriages need to simulate and continue operating when no one is around. This was previously solved by ensuring carriages never stream out, unlike most objects. This is referring to the object container streaming that they added in 3.3.5 that helped the game run better by cutting the game up into different object containers that could stream in and out for each player. However, this isn't possible with server meshing, so the team working on these things are exploring solutions to allow them to simulate when no one is around. So obviously, server meshing was complicating things. Just like jump points and the other things mentioned here, we know this did not happen for quite some time. In fact, server meshing, jump points, and all of that only just happened this year. And while it did happen, the refactor did not. Even though it was supposed to and it was all over the roadmap, it just didn't meet the deadline to release in 4.0. Now, all that old jank from the transit system designed from 8 years ago is also trying to run on a server meshed environment, which it also wasn't designed for. So this situation ain't great, and I wish I could say April Fool's again, but it's actually pretty rough. Elevators continue to be one of the main issues plaguing the game, alongside desync and quantum travel issues. The good news is, we know they are trying to fix this. Like I said last year, server meshing isn't going to fix everything itself, but it is going to give the engineers and devs the space to bolster the systems that will. The transit system is a big one of those, and while they missed their deadline and are leaving players in a rough spot with the current state of the game, they have formed a team that is exclusively dedicated to the transit system. It is good to see the focus, and I know this year is supposed to be a year of playability, and things are going up and down, but I think if they can get the main driving forces of frustration figured out, low performance, mission issues, desync, elevators, and ship glitches, they're going to be in a good place. This video started out as an April Fool's joke, but I'll be honest, these kinds of changes could be the widest reaching in Star Citizen this year. I want engineering as much as the next person, but with the visibility Star Citizen is beginning to get, a properly functioning environment is going to attract and retain more players than new features. It sucks, but that's what CIG is looking at right now. They need a properly running, functional, and enjoyable environment before Squadron 42 comes out. So here's to more videos looking at the bug fixes and stability pushes over the next year. Thanks for tuning into this short one. I'll catch you in the next.